Well, hello. Let's talk about some of the incidences and things going on in the area with some news. Here, let me show you this picture here real quick. Let me just cut to this picture here. Okay, we've got these guys, and what's this all about here? You got Yost, you got Vivek Ramaswamy, you got Jim Tressel kind of hiding in the back there, and then with the big head, the guy with the real big head, that's Mike DeWine. Okay, so what's all this about? What's going on here? This is for talking about governorship again. And what's interesting here is that Jim Tressel, although he hasn't ruled himself out, he keeps sneaking by and saying that maybe I will run for governor. Now, Yost, we know, is toast. He had to get out of the race. There was no room for him, okay? No room at the inn for him. But when we look at this picture, you see Tressel back there, and you see DeWine's big head right behind Tressel. That's because those guys are like twins. I'm telling you, they're like twins, okay? Tressel is going to be DeWine 2.0, and I'll prove it to you because I want to show you something else here. I got this off of Ohio Values Voters, and they're talking about Jim Tressel. And here's a write-up they have, and you can check it out yourself. And it says, Jim Tressel is widely regarded as one of Ohio's greatest football coaches, of course. And during his tenure as head coach of Ohio State University, he achieved an impressive record. Yeah. Get to the point already. All right, and of course he beat Michigan a lot, which we love that. And he won a national championship in 2002. One of the greatest games, maybe the greatest game ever for Ohio State when they went up against Miami, the Miami Hurricanes, and beat them. They were huge underdogs. However, let's get to the important stuff here now. Excellence in football does not automatically equate to excellence in government leadership. It certainly does not. It certainly does not. See, this is one of the things I hate. Oh, I was a good businessman, so I'm going to be a great governor. You might be a great governor, and it's good to have those skills, but it's not a guarantee. Oh, I was a great CPA. I'm going to be the greatest governor that ever lived. No, that means you were a great CPA. Doesn't mean you're going to be a great governor. So one of the problems we have with Tressel is that this guy was all over. He was all for DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion during his time as president of Youngstown State University. DEI. That's what Tressel Schmeshel. Okay, so in my book, that eliminates Tressel. He's out of here. All right. It cannot get a woke lieutenant governor to become governor. Can't do it in Ohio. Trump and the MAGA movement won Ohio by 12 points. We got to keep moving in that direction, which is why we are behind Vivek Ramaswamy, because he's got MAGA written all over him. He's been endorsed by Trump, Elon. The state representatives, almost all of them in Ohio that are Republican, have endorsed him. Almost all of the state senators in Ohio have endorsed him, and it just moves on and it moves on. Okay, but we don't need a woke liberal Jim Tressel moving in and being governor. Absolutely not. Now, I'll tell you another red flag I see in all this is the woke Cleveland Plain Dealer and the woke Columbus Dispatch. They both love Tressel. Those are red flags. Those are massively red flags. You can't be doing that. All right, I want to go to X here for a minute because there's some interesting news this morning of Vivek Ramaswamy. We're just talking about this guy. Okay, he wants to start, and this is interesting. He wants to include Bitcoin education in public schools. Bitcoin education. Okay, so this is another reason why we go with the young guy. We go with the guy who's into Bitcoin. We go with the guy who's into AI. We go into a young guy, lots of energy, vim, vigor, push, make Ohio great again. That's what we want, okay? That is what we want. We can't be living in the past with some of these dinosaurs, okay? We just can't do that. And then there's one other move down here. One other thing here, too. Rasmussen reports Trump's approval rating is heading in the right direction. Polling is taking an amazing turn, and that says a lot. Rasmussen is by far and away the most accurate polling company there is. Rasmussen is top of the line, okay? They don't give me any BS. They don't pull any punches. Their polling now shows that Trump's approval rating is skyrocketing, and people are backing the Republican Party like never before. That's good news. Get on the MAGA train. Get on the MAGA movement. Make Ohio great again. We got to keep pushing for that. And I can't understand why in Congress right now they can't get that big, beautiful bill passed, and why they can't start codifying some of the Doge, some of the doging that's been going on. They need to codify that stuff into law. They need to codify it into law, and they're not doing it. They're not doing it. See, the Republicans in Congress, I'm talking about Washington, D.C., these guys, they're shysters, man. They're in it for themselves. They're not really in it for you or me, and there's the proof. They love USAID getting all of this slush fund money because somehow or another it rolls back into their pockets. They love that kind of stuff. And these are the Republicans. We have a majority of Republicans in the U.S. Senate. We have a majority of Republicans in the State House. And so this stuff should just be rolling through, but these guys are phony, all right? And women. One other thing, too, I saw on X this morning is that they are tying the auto pen. If you remember the auto pen, because Joe Biden did not use the auto pen half the time. Somebody else was. One person they're tying to that to right now that I read is a Pocahontas. Yeah, Pocahontas, the Indian lady. Elizabeth Warren. They're tying it back to her and others, but directly to her. Man, if she is responsible in any way for that auto pen, she's got to go to prison for the rest of her life, the rest of her mangy life, if she did that. Unbelievable. And last thing I want to say here this morning is that we are doing live podcasts every Sunday night, 7 o'clock. So start tuning in for those. We talk about abolishing property taxes. We need everyone to get on board with this movement. It's already gone to the point where we need just signatures to get it on the ballot. People say, what about the schools, Joe? How are we going to fund the schools? How are we going to fund the schools? Think about your house for a minute. They're coming to take your house. These property taxes know nothing except to climb and go higher. Listen, there's plenty of money. There's over $100 billion in the state budget. They can find a way to do the funding. There's many alternatives. But property taxes and tying it to your house so that if you don't pay them, they take your house is evil, and it's unconstitutional, and it's evil, and it's causing people to become homeless, especially those who have gone on Social Security and cannot afford it anymore. Okay, so again, it's evil, and it must be stopped. We need your help. Let's get behind the movement to abolish property taxes in Ohio. They're already talking about doing it in Florida and Texas and elsewhere. We're not against funding schools, police, fire. We just don't want it tied to the house. There's other ways of funding it, and we talk about that a lot on Sunday nights. Have yourself a great day. Be talking to you tomorrow. See you.